Well, welcome everybody to another Full Sail University online help session. My name is Steve Kane, and again, I am here today with the Audio Workstations class. And what we are going to do today is tempo map the session Take Me. This seems to be a sticky subject with everybody, so we are just going to kind of go ahead and just break it down like it should. So, over these next 10 minutes, feel free to follow along, and we are going to try to make this as simple and painless as possible. And what I have done here already is I went and I trimmed up everything. Actually, let me just hit Command Z a couple times, or I'll pull this all out here so you can see what I did. Because when I brought it open, there was a lot of empty space on it. So what I first did is I found the 4 clicks that I was trying to get to that had this drum playing. And even though the click track was awful and doesn't work, so what I did is I engaged my all group and I put myself in slip mode, and I put this, made sure tab to transient was on, and insertion follows playback is off. And I put it right in front of that drum hit. I hit tab, and then I went to the edit menu, and I trimmed the clip to the start of the insertion point, and so that got me right there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click with my selector tool, get my grabber tool with spot mode, and put everybody back at measure 3. All right? So now with that being done, so we've got this click track now that does not work. So what we're going to do is we're going to mute that click for a few moments. Let's just work with our drum right here. So let's get ourselves in slip mode, make sure we have tab to transient on, and make sure our insertion follows playback is off. We'll make these big and we'll zoom in a little bit. So what I'm going to do is take my selector tool. I'm going to select right beforehand. I'm going to tab to transient, and then I'm going to hold shift and then hit tab until I get over here to this side. And I'm going to make sure this is a good loop by making sure I'm in loop playback. I right click and make sure I'm in loop there, and we play. Now, as you see, it thinks it's 1 bar, 1 beat, 792 ticks, and that's not right. We just listened to it. It's 1 bar exactly. But the other thing I wanted to show you is that it also says it's 2 seconds, 912 milliseconds. And so we're about to do some math saying, hey, there's 4 beats in 2.912 seconds, so it's going to tell us how many then are in a whole minute. So let's go back to bars and beats. I'm going to go under the event menu and identify beat, and I'm going to tell it I really want it to be measure 3 to measure 4. And when I do, it does that calculation and says, well, it's at 82.4081 a minute. Well, that's fine, except for the fact that it starts at 120, right? So now it starts off clicking really fast and then jumping into the groove. And that's not acceptable, right? So what we're going to do is put our cursor up here in front or behind the tempo change, go click the insert tempo button, and tell it we want measure 1 to be that same exact tempo as well, and hit OK. Now, we've got a problem, though, because it has magically shifted everything. So what we need to do is get the all group on, spot mode, grabber tool, click that, and put everything back at measure 3 again. And now, listen to your click. And then it's going to start to drift as we go. So we found this to be measure 4. I'm not quite sure why it decided not to tell us that it kept measure 4, but let's get our slip mode and tell it again that that is indeed measure 4. So I'm going to hit Command I, and this time I'm just going to hit OK, and now it put our little marker in. So let's just go now, go look at measure 5 since we're getting close. Let's just go look. And you see it's right here. I bet it's that one right there. So I'm just going to put it in front and then hit tab to transient. And look, it's a little bit late. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Command I and tell it I think that's measure 5. And when I hit OK, I can go test myself right away by highlighting 4 to 5. Perfect. So now let's go look at measure 6. And as I get that there, it's a little bit late, so I put it in front, hit Tab to transient. I see that it's a little bit early, so I hit Command I and tell it I want it to be measure 6, and I hit return. I can check it by typing in measure 5. And it sounds good. So now let's go look at measure 7. And look, it's a little bit early there, so I put it in front, hit Tab to transient. It was a little bit early, so I hit Command I, tell it I really want it to be measure 7. Check my loop. All right, so now we did measure 7. Let's go look at measure 8. And let's look, it's a little off, so I hit Tab to transient. See, I jumped too far though, so that's why I like bringing it back a little bit. And then when I hit Tab to transient, now it's hitting right there. So I tell it measure 8, Command I. We'll check it with measure 7. All right, so now let's go look at measure 9. All right, hit Tab to transient, Command I, tell it measure 9 exactly, return. Let's go ahead and do measure 10. We'll do 2 in a row. Let's jump up to measure 10. We'll put this one in front, Tab to transient, tell it measure 10. So now let's go check these last 2 bars. Let's check measure 8 to 10 and make sure our click still sounds good. And so now, as we go on through, let's just go one more. See where you start singing. We could go look at measure 11. And as we zoom in on those drums, it's the same procedure. Put it beforehand, tab up there, Command I, measure 11. Go look at measure 12. Now, hit tab, Command I, tell it measure 12. Now, you might want to go check this one out. So let's go listen from 11 to 12. All right, let's go look to measure 12 and measure 13 we did. Let's do 13. And look, I'll jump right in front. Command I, 13. Let's go check 11 to 13. So if done right, you're going to notice a couple things. One, that your click track totally works, and that 2, your tempos are going to slightly drift, but it's not going to be annoying. So don't expect these to stay the same. But if our click track is working and your loops are working, that's how you know you've done a perfect tempo map. So if you follow that, yours should look exactly like mine. And as I have said in the past, I do not want you to start practicing this without knowing what you're doing. So if you are having problems still, please reach out to your section leader, get some help, because this tempo mapping thing is the basis of all things, of how to make sense out of things that we recorded without click tracks. So once again, my name is Steve Kane. I want to thank everybody for being here. I hope this has helped you learn a little bit about tempo mapping. And as always, peace out!